Welcome to a new update, and today we're going to talk about Genesis and everything that's happening in the markets as there is a first slight bounce. Yesterday was quite critical as well as the Department of Justice came out with a big announcement, but it was a bit slato, which is a brilliant name, but it is not the big news that we were looking for. And therefore, the markets have been correcting a bit more yesterday, but still are not out of the woods yet. We could be getting a bit more downside, especially since the Nasdaq has been turning around and the S&P as well, which usually gives a bad territory for risk-on assets, including Bitcoin. Jobless claims came in today and they were more positive than expected. So we're going to look at the data and we're going to look at price action. But before we continue, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also check out my free trade letter and check out our premium membership, which will include copy trading from next week on. Make sure to become a member if you want to be part of that experience and to learn how to trade crypto. When we're looking at the markets, I think yesterday was just crazy. We had the retail sales coming in, which is worse than expected. And I said that it was actually terrible for the economy and for the recession, as it gives confirmation. Then we had the fact of the Department of Justice, which was a non-event. And then Genesis came out with the announcement that they are most likely going to file bankruptcy Chapter 11, which will mean that they are going to restructure, and especially the mother company, which is DCG, will just continue, and they have to get away or get rid of Genesis in order to survive as the entire concern, which is understandable, but it will have an impact to the markets and it will have a contagion risk. So I tweeted this out yesterday, Genesis bankruptcy filing Chapter 11, and that will be having some impact to the markets, which we will be discussing in a sense that yesterday the markets have been dropping down, in a way that we have been getting the sweep at the high of 21.7. We fell all the way towards 20.4, but didn't close the CME cap, didn't close or didn't take the liquidity beneath this low at all. We immediately bounced back up because of the non-event that Department of Justice actually was. But we still have the contagion risk of Genesis. We still have the macro environment that is not the greatest and which is suiting the Fed to continue to hike, through which they destroy the economy even more, through which the markets are going to fall even more, which is not the best nature for crypto. In a sense, we had the correction. We were calling for one. 21.6 is quite crucial. I don't believe we're going to get there in one go again. And therefore the coming few days will be important when it comes to Genesis and what the news might bring, through which the odds of going towards the CME gap is definitely on the cards. So I would not be rushing into longs that much. I would also not be rushing into shorts that much unless you get confirmation that you're seeking for. Right now it's just a waiting game unless you get an obvious position, which means that getting somewhere in the region of 19k is probably the area where you want to get that higher low going and where you want to get into spot positions even more. Now, when we're looking at the price action of Bitcoin, there's something you should take into account, which is the fact that we've dropped beneath the 200 EMA again. This blue line is the 200 EMA, the daily one, which is being used as an important trigger. And I'll just discuss that in a little bit once we are going to get into the price action of the total market cap as well. In that way, we've grinded above the high here, fell beneath, so most likely the 21k region will act as a resistance again, through which you can conclude that if we are going to have a continued fall, it will most likely be a sharp one, at least towards the CME gap, perhaps a bit lower. So this is, unless we're going to really claim the 200 daily EMA, this is going to bring us down even more. And why did I say it's important to watch this one? If you look at the 200-day EMA on the total market cap, we can clearly see that we are finding resistance there, and that is going to give us some space until we clearly break it. In that way, during the bear market 2018, we were also rejecting there, but the more important part is that you consolidate beneath it before we break and start into a new bull cycle, which we were doing from 2020, which we also were doing in 2019. So this is the crucial trigger. Right now we are just not breaking it yet, which means that the relief rally might be postponed, as the total market cap also rally towards the next resistance zone, which simply is going to act as one until we clearly get a breaker going, and therefore we need to build up stamina to actually break through that region. If you're looking at the total market cap 2, which is the altcoins, we also are looking at a case of resistance here. We didn't even get there, and we are waiting for the breakout above that EMA. Once we do, that is going to be the rally that we were looking for. So we just need to be a bit more patient. When we're looking at the price action, or when we're looking at the Nasdaq, I wanted to show you that one first. The Nasdaq has been dropping down again. I'm currently looking to close a potential gap, which we have here at 11.2, but we closed the one at 11.7 yesterday. We discussed it as well, and we started to crash. And right now we're getting into a range where we might be having some short-term bounce or short-term relief, and then we continue to drop even more, especially since next weeks are going to be important when it comes to data, and the trend remains downwards when it comes to the Nasdaq. If you want to see a switch, you clearly want to see the high being taken out in order to get continuation, but right now we have been getting towards support many times, bounced weaker and weaker from it, and now if we get towards support again, we probably puke beneath it. And also the dollar has been starting to bounce up, and the moment that this is going to get some relief, which can be done if the Fed is going to hike 50 bips, I think that is not suiting Bitcoin at all. Now, going towards the TA of Bitcoin and then rounding this off, we are currently seeing a correction taking place. We have been taking a ton of liquidity, as you can see with the volume here. We are approaching a few crucial levels as well. We still have the CME gap beneath us, which is around 19.8, and we still have a few more levels at 90k, which I don't believe we're going to get. We got a crucial resistance as well. So if you're seeking for shorts, I think anything from any 21.1 towards 21.4 is the area where you want to look for it. If we can't really break through 21k, I think that is going to be the area where you're probably going to get the reversal going. So 21k is also the daily 200 EMA. If we get a bit above it, we are getting a bit above this crucial resistance here as well. So the area to short is the one between 21, let's say 21,050 towards 21.2. If we clearly sweep the high, the trend is going to continue. Very simple math over here. If we take out the support again at 20.6, I bet we're going to get towards 19.8. So I'll be staying calm at this point, as the initial move has been taking place. This might be a short, but ultimately I'm looking at a higher level for ETH. I think we're going to take out a bit of the highs here, and we're looking at 1570 for a potential short opportunity, and the longs are still lower, around 1420 to 1460 are the areas where you should be looking at. So Nasdaq showing weakness but could be bouncing. Genesis still surrounding the markets at this point. We also have the case of the dollar bouncing upwards, and economic data coming in, which is not suiting Bitcoin that much. So stay calm. If we reclaim crucial levels at 1575, or Bitcoin at 21.2 to 21.3, for instance, those are triggers that we're going to rally and take out the high. But for now, remain calm. We are in the decision of swapping the trend towards a downward trend for a little while before we can start buying the dip and continue to blast towards 30 to 40k. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe indeed, and I'll see you again tomorrow.